The crash landing, the crimson sky of Zenthara Prime burned like molten copper as Captain Marcus Webb fought desperately with his ship's failing controls. Sparks flew from the navigation console while warning alarms shrieked through the cramped cockpit. His cargo hauler, the Stellar Wanderer, had been pulled from hyperspace by some unknown force, and now the planet's gravity was dragging him down like an angry fist. "Come on, you stubborn piece of scrap," Marcus muttered through gritted teeth, his weathered hands dancing across the emergency systems. At 42, he had survived enough close calls to know when his luck was running thin. The ship shuddered violently as it tore through the atmosphere, its hull groaning under the stress. The surface rushed up to meet him faster than he liked. Ancient ruins stretched across the landscape like broken bones, their crystalline towers catching the dying light of the twin suns. This was supposed to be a dead world, abandoned for over 500 years after some catastrophic event wiped out the Zentharian civilization. Yet here he was, about to become another casualty of this cursed place. Impact came with a bone-jarring crash that threw Marcus against his restraints. The ship skidded across a field of smooth obsidian. Finally, coming to rest against a collapsed structure, smoke filled the cockpit as systems failed, one by one. Marcus coughed and fumbled for his emergency kit, knowing he had to get out before something exploded. The airlock hissed open, revealing air that was surprisingly breathable despite the planet's reputation. Heat hit him like a wall, dry and oppressive. Under the alien suns, his boots crunched on the glassy surface as he surveyed the damage to his ship. The Wanderer would need major repairs before it could fly again, if it ever could. "Great," he said aloud, his voice echoing strangely in the silence. Stranded on a forbidden world with no way to call for help. Marcus had been a freighter captain for 15 years, carrying cargo between the outer colonies and the core worlds. It was lonely work, but it suited his nature. After his wife died in the colony wars, he preferred the company of stars to people. Now that solitude might kill him. As he walked away from his ship to assess his situation, something caught his eye among the ruins. A pillar of pure energy rose from what looked like a ceremonial courtyard, crackling with blue-white lightning that seemed to dance in patterns. And suspended within that energy, about 10 feet off the ground, was a figure that made his breath catch in his throat. It was a woman, but clearly not human. Between silver and pale gold as the energy played across her form, long flowing hair the color of starlight floated around her face as if she were underwater. Her features were delicate but alien, with high cheekbones and slightly pointed ears. Her eyes, when they opened and found his, were the deep violet of Mib. She was beautiful in a way that made his chest tight. But what struck him most was the expression of resigned suffering on her face. This was someone who had been in agony for so long that she had learned to bear it with dignity. Marcus approached slowly, his engineer's mind already working to understand the technology that held her prisoner. The energy field hummed with power and ancient symbols glowed around the base of the pillar. This wasn't just a prison, he realized. It was a torture device designed to keep someone alive and aware while they suffered. "Who did this to you?" he whispered, though he doubted she could hear him through the energy barrier. But her violet eyes tracked his movement, and her lips moved soundlessly. She was conscious, aware, and had been watching him since he arrived. The realization sent a chill down his spine despite the planet's heat. How long had she been here, suspended in this nightmare? More importantly, what had she done to deserve such a fate? Marcus Webb had come to this world by accident, but looking into those ancient, suffering eyes, he knew his crash landing might not have been chance at all. The first contact, Marcus spent his first night on Zenthara Prime in the shadow of his crashed ship. His thoughts remained fixed on the woman in the energy prison. He'd tried to approach the pillar several times, but the field generated enough heat to singe his eyebrows when he got within 5 feet. Whatever technology held her was beyond anything he had encountered in his years of maintaining hyperspace engines and quantum drives. When the twin suns rose again, painting the ruins in shades of amber and rose, Marcus returned to the courtyard. With his scanner and toolkit, the woman's eyes followed him as he circled the prison, taking readings and examining the strange symbols carved into the platform. Up close, he could see that her lips were moving constantly, though no sound emerged. "You hear me?" Marcus called out, feeling foolish for talking to someone who might not even understand his language. The woman's eyes widened and she nodded slowly. Her mouth formed words that looked like yes in the universal trade language most spacers used. Relief flooded through Marcus. At least they could communicate. "I'm Marcus," he said, pointing to himself. "Marcus Webb. I'm going to try to help you." Her lips curved in what might have been a smile, though pain still haunted her features. She mouthed something that looked like Celeste. Her name, he realized. She was trying to tell him her name. Celeste, Marcus repeated and saw her nod. Beautiful name for a beautiful woman. Even through her suffering, he caught a flicker of something warmer in her expression. How long had it been since someone had spoken to her with kindness instead of hatred? Marcus spent the day studying the prison mechanism. The scanner revealed that the energy field was incredibly complex, drawing power from the planet's core through a network of crystalline conduits. The symbols around the base seemed to be both decorative and functional, forming some kind of control interface. Most troubling was his discovery that the field wasn't just holding Celeste in place, it was slowly draining her life force while simultaneously preventing her from dying. As the sun set, Marcus made a camp near the pillar so Celeste wouldn't be alone. He built a small fire from debris and cooked a simple meal from his emergency rations. All the while, he kept up a steady stream of conversation, telling her about his life, his travels, and his reasons for being here. "I was hauling medical supplies to the Kepler colonies when my navigation system went haywire," he explained, stirring his protein paste. "Been having problems with it for months, but repairs are expensive and work's been scarce. Guess the universe decided to strand me here. For a reason." Celeste's eyes never left his face as he spoke. Sometimes her lips would move in response, and Marcus found himself getting better at reading them. She had been a healer, she told him, one of the last of her people. The Xantharians had been a peaceful race, devoted to art, science, and medicine. They had welcomed the first human explorers with open arms. "What happened to your people?" Marcus asked gently. Celeste's expression grew dark. Through careful lip-reading and gestures, she managed to convey a story that made Marcus's blood run cold. A faction of humans had come to Xanthara Prime not as explorers but as conquerors. They wanted the planet's unique crystalline formations, which could power weapons of incredible destructive force. When the Xantharians refused to strip mine their sacred sites, the humans had declared war. The conflict was brief but devastating. Human weapons turned the planet's surface into glass, while orbital bombardments cracked the crust. The Xantharian civilization fell within days. Most of the population died in the initial attacks, but some survived in hidden shelters. "You helped." "Humans during the war," Marcus said, reading her gestures. "You were a healer, so you tried to save everyone regardless of species." Celeste nodded, tears streaming down her luminous cheeks. Her own people had seen her compassion as betrayal. When the war ended and the surviving Xantharians emerged from hiding, they blamed her for the destruction. In their grief and rage, they had built this prison as punishment for her crimes of mercy. "They left you here to suffer for trying to save lives," Marcus whispered, his hands clenching into fists. "Your own people did this to you for showing compassion." The injustice of it burned in his chest like acid. Celeste had been punished not for evil, but for being too good, too caring. She had tried to heal both sides of a war. Both sides had abandoned her for it. As the alien stars emerged overhead, Marcus made a promise that would change both their lives forever. "I'm going to get you out of there, Celeste. Whatever it takes, I'm going to set you free." The rescue attempt 3 days passed, as Marcus worked feverishly to understand the prison technology. His engineering background helped him grasp the basic principles. But the Xantharian science was far more advanced than human technology. The crystalline conduits formed a network that channeled energy from deep within the planet, creating a feedback loop that sustained itself indefinitely. During those days, his bond with Celeste deepened. They had developed their own language of gestures and light reading, allowing for more complex conversations. She told him about her life before the war, about the floating gardens of her city and the healing temples where she had trained. He shared stories of his travels among the stars, describing worlds she had never seen. "My wife would have liked you," Marcus said one evening as he worked on deciphering a particularly complex symbol. Anna was a medic too. She died trying to save civilians during a pirate raid on Kepler Station. Celeste's expression softened with understanding. Loss was something they both carried. "Is that why you travel alone?" she seemed to ask with her eyes. Marcus nodded. "Easier than risking that kind of pain again, but being here with you. It reminds me that loneliness isn't really living either." Something passed between them in that moment, an acknowledgement of connection that went beyond species or circumstance. Two wounded souls finding solace in each other's company. On the fourth day, Marcus made his first attempt to disrupt the energy field. He had identified what he believed were the primary control nodes, symbols that pulsed with brighter energy than the others. Using a modified power cell from his ship, he tried to overload one of the conduits. The results were immediate and terrifying. The entire pillar flared with blinding light, and Celeste's scream of agony tore through the air like a physical force. The feedback nearly knocked Marcus unconscious, but he managed to disconnect his device before any permanent damage was done. "Sorry," he gasped, crawling toward the pillar despite the residual energy discharges. "I'm so sorry, Celeste. I won't try that again." But something had changed. The energy field flickered now, unstable in ways it hadn't been before. Celeste, though exhausted, looked at him with something new in her eyes. Hope, that night, as Marcus nursed burns on his hands and face, something extraordinary happened. As he sat beside the pillar, close enough to feel the energy field's heat, Celeste's voice whispered in his mind. "Marcus, ... can you hear me?" He nearly fell off the supply crate he was using as a chair. "Celeste, how are you?" The disruption, it weakened the barriers. "I can reach out to you now, but only for short periods." Her mental voice was soft, musical, touched with an accent that sounded like silver bells. "Are you in pain?" he asked, both aloud and in his thoughts. "It's always, but less when I focus on you. You've given me something I hadn't felt in centuries. Purpose. Someone to fight for." "I'm going to free you," Marcus promised, reaching out to touch the edge of the energy field. The barrier stopped his hand inches from her suspended form, but he could feel the warmth of her presence. "I know, but Marcus... even if you succeed, I may not survive. This prison has sustained me, but it's also changed me. I don't know what I'll be without it. Then we'll find out together," he said firmly. "I've been alone for too long, and so have you. Whatever happens, we face it as one." Through their new telepathic connection, Celeste shared memories that took his breath away. He experienced her world as it had been before the war, with cities that floated among crystalline trees and healing chambers filled with gentle light. He felt her anguish as the bombs fell and her people died. Most powerfully, he felt the moment of her betrayal when her own kind condemned her for showing mercy to human prisoners in return. Marcus opened his own memories to her. She saw Earth through his eyes, felt his love for Anna and the devastating grief of losing her. She experienced the loneliness of his years in space and the moment he first saw her suspended in the energy field. "You love me," she whispered in. Wonder, her mental voice trembling with emotion. "I do," Marcus admitted, surprising himself with the certainty. "I know it seems impossible given the circumstances, but I do." "And I love you," she replied. "My healer's gift lets me see into hearts." Marcus Webb. "Yours is good and strong and brave. I would gladly spend eternity in this prison if it meant keeping you safe." "Well, that's not going to happen," Marcus said, with determination. "Tomorrow, I try a different approach. I think I know how to weaken the field gradually, instead of all at once." As dawn approached, and their telepathic connection faded with Celeste's exhaustion, Marcus felt a profound shift in himself. For the first time since Anna's death, he had something to fight for beyond mere survival. He had found love in the most impossible place, and he would move heaven and earth to claim it. Love transcends barriers. Marcus's second attempt came after a week of careful preparation. Instead of trying to overload the system, he worked to drain it slowly, using his ship's backup power cells to create a steady draw on the crystalline network. The process took hours, but gradually the energy field began to weaken. As the barriers thinned, her telepathic connection strengthened. Celeste guided him through the complex shutdown sequence, her knowledge of Xantharian technology filling in the gaps in his understanding. Working together, they managed to reduce the field's intensity by nearly half before the system's safeguards activated. The partial success allowed Celeste to move for the first time in centuries, though still suspended in the weakened field. She could turn her head, flex her fingers, and most importantly, speak aloud. "Marcus," she whispered, her voice like music after their silent communication. "You did it. I can feel my body again." Her voice sent shivers down his spine. It's even weakened by centuries of imprisonment. It held a quality that seemed to resonate in his very bones. This was the voice of someone who had spent lifetimes learning to heal with words as well as touch. "Just the beginning," Marcus replied, setting up his camp closer to the pillar. "Tomorrow, we'll drain it further. By the end of the week, you'll be free." As night fell, they talked for hours in voices instead of thoughts. Celeste told him about Xantharian customs, their philosophy of harmony with the natural world, and the healing arts that had been her life's work. Marcus shared stories of human culture, the diversity of the colonies, and his dreams of exploration among distant stars. "Your people and mine could have learned so much from each other," Celeste said. "Sadly, instead, we destroyed each other over greed and fear." "Some humans are like that," Marcus acknowledged, "but not all of us. There are still those who believe in cooperation, in building rather than taking, like you," Celeste said, her violet eyes soft in the firelight. "I'm nothing special," Marcus protested. "You crashed on a forbidden world and chose to save a stranger rather than focus on your own escape. You've risked your life repeatedly for someone you barely know. If that's not special, what is?" Their conversation continued deep into the night, ranging from philosophy to personal dreams. Marcus found himself sharing thoughts and feelings he hadn't voiced in years. Celeste listened with the trained ear of a healer, offering comfort and understanding without judgment. "Tell me about Anna," she said gently, when Marcus fell silent. "Why would you want to hear about another woman?" Marcus asked, surprised. "'Cause she shaped who you are. The love you shared made you capable of loving again. I owe her a debt of gratitude." So Marcus told her about his late wife, about their dreams of starting a family on one of the frontier worlds, about the random violence that had torn their future apart. As he spoke, he felt some of the old pain lifting, replaced by something warmer and more hopeful. "Anna would approve of you," he said finally. "She always said I needed someone who could challenge me to be better than I am." "And what do I challenge?" "You to be?" Celeste asked softly. Brave Marcus replied without hesitation. "It's willing to take risks for something that matters. Anna made me want to build a safe life. You make me want to build an extraordinary one." On the 5th day, they're combined efforts reduced the energy field to a quarter of its original strength. Celeste was able to lower herself partially, though she remained connected to the pillar. For the first time in 500 years, her feet touched solid ground. The moment was overwhelming for both of them. Marcus rushed forward and caught her. As her weakened legs gave out, holding her against his chest as she sobbed with relief and joy. "I can touch you," she whispered, her hands exploring his face with wonder. Her skin was warm despite its pearl-like luminescence, and her touch sent electric thrills through his body. "And I can hold you," Marcus replied, marveling at how perfectly she fit in his arms despite their species differences. They stayed like that for a long time, simply holding each other and adjusting to the miracle of physical contact. When they finally separated, neither could deny the desire burning between them. "Marcus," Celeste said hesitantly, "my people, we formed deep bonds. When we love someone, it's with our entire being. If we become intimate, there's no going back." "You would be part of me forever?" "And you'd be part of me," Marcus replied, understanding the weight of what she was offering. "Is that what you want?" Instead of answering with words, Celeste kissed him. Her lips were soft and warm, and the kiss carried with it all the longing of her centuries of isolation and his years of grief. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. "I want everything with you," she whispered against his lips. "But not here. Not while I'm still chained to this thing. When I'm free, truly free, then we can be together as we were meant to be. Marcus kissed her forehead gently. Then tomorrow, we finish what we started. Tomorrow, you leave this prison. Forever. As they settled into sleep that night, Celeste curled against Marcus's side for the first time. They both knew their lives had been forever changed by finding each other in this desolate place. The final liberation the next morning brought an unexpected challenge. Marcus's scanner detected an approaching ship, still hours away, but definitely heading for Zenthara Prime. The energy signature matched Galactic Council patrol vessels, meaning his presence here had finally been noticed. "They'll arrest you," Celeste said with worry, her voice still weak but growing stronger. "This is a forbidden zone." "Then we better work fast," Marcus replied grimly. "I'm not leaving without you, which means we need to get you free before they arrive." The final shutdown required both of them working in perfect synchronization. Celeste, still partially connected to the crystalline network, could sense the energy flows and guide Marcus's modifications to the power grid. It was dangerous work. One mistake could cause a feedback explosion that would kill them both, but they had no choice. As they worked, Celeste shared more of herself through their strengthened bond. Marcus experienced her memories not as an observer, but as if he had lived them himself. He felt the joy she had known as a young healer, her first successful regeneration of damaged tissue, the pride in her mentor's eyes. He also experienced her pain, the burning agony of the energy field, the despair of centuries alone with only her thoughts for company. In return, she lived his memories. The excitement of his first solo cargo run, the warmth of Anna's smile, the crushing loneliness of the years after her death. Most importantly, she felt the moment he first saw her suspended in the pillar, and the immediate connection that had sparked between them. "I never believed in fate," Marcus said as he adjusted the final power coupling. "But maybe the universe knew we needed each other." "My people have a saying," Celeste replied, her hands guiding his through the complex procedure. "Love is the force that binds the stars together. Without it, everything would fly apart into darkness." The approaching ship grew closer as they worked. Marcus could see it now, a sleek council cruiser designed for long-range patrol. They had maybe an hour before it arrived. "Almost there," he muttered, sweat dripping into his eyes as he made the final connections. "Celeste, when I give the signal, you need to push against the field with everything you have. The energy has to have somewhere to go when the system collapses." "I understand," she said, though he could feel her exhaustion through their bond. 500 years of imprisonment had taken their toll, even on someone with her people's enhanced longevity. Now, Marcus shouted, activating the shutdown sequence. The pillar exploded in light so bright it turned the world white. Energy crackled through the air, seeking outlets, and Marcus felt his hair stand on end as raw power discharged around them. The ancient symbols on the platform flared and died, one by one, as the crystalline network finally gave up its centuries-long task. Then suddenly, silence. Marcus blinked away the after-images and saw Celeste standing free beside the now-dark pillar. She swayed on her feet, weak but unbound, her pearl-luminescent skin glowing with health rather than the artificial energy of the prison. "Free," she whispered in wonder. "I'm finally free." Marcus caught her as she collapsed, exhaustion finally claiming her. Oh, but she was smiling. And when she looked up at him, her violet eyes held no more pain, only love and hope. "The ship," she said weakly, pointing to the approaching cruiser. "Let me worry about that," Marcus said, helping her toward his damaged vessel. "I have a plan." The Council patrol ship landed just as Marcus finished uploading his modified log files to the Wanderer's communication array. Commander Sarah Reeves emerged with a squad of security officers, her face stern with official disapproval. "Captain Webb," she called out, "you're in violation of Galactic Council Regulation 847, unauthorized presence in a restricted zone. Surrender now, and we might be lenient." "Commander Reeves," Marcus replied calmly, stepping out from behind his ship with his hands visible, but not raised. I'm declaring salvage rights on this world under Article 12 of the Merchant Marine Code. Salvage rights? Reeves looked confused. This is a dead world, Webb. There's nothing here to salvage. On the contrary, Marcus said, gesturing toward Celeste as she emerged from the Wanderer. I've rescued the sole survivor of the Xantharian Holocaust. As the last of her people, she has legitimate claim to this planet and its resources. And as her rescuer, I'm entitled to compensation. Reeves stared at Celeste in shock. The alien woman was clearly weak, but undeniably alive, her exotic beauty making it impossible to doubt her non-human origins. That's impossible, Reeves stammered. The Xantharians died out centuries ago. Yet here I am, Celeste said, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. I am Celeste of the Healing Caste, last daughter of Xanthara Prime. This human saved my life when my own people had condemned me to eternal suffering. By the laws of both our species, I claim him as my bondmate and grant him equal standing in. Any negotiations regarding this world? The legal implications hit Reeves like a physical blow. If Celeste was truly the last Xantharian, she had legitimate claim to the planet and all its resources. The crystalline formations alone were worth billions of credits. And if she chose to share that wealth with her bondmate, there was nothing the Council could do about it. I'll need to verify this through proper channels, Reeves said finally. Of course, Marcus agreed. We'll wait here while you do that. After all, we have a lot of catching up to do. As the patrol ship departed to consult with Council headquarters, Marcus and Celeste stood together in the ruins of her ancient world. The future stretched before them, uncertain but bright with possibility. So, Marcus said, taking her hand in his, ready to see the galaxy. With you, Celeste smiled, her violet eyes sparkling with joy. I'm ready for anything. Together, they watched the twin suns set over Xanthara Prime, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new adventures, and the beginning of a love story that would span the stars. But tonight, they had each other, and that was enough. The dead world had given them both new life, and their love would carry them beyond the boundaries of space and time, proving that even in the darkest places, hope could bloom eternal.